Hello, I'm David Hunt. My next guest is somebody I've known for quite a long time, but then again that would be giving away his age because he's really old, much older than me. I think he is, I don't even know actually. I'm talking about Peter Stephenson. Hello Peter.
Hello David, how are you?
I'm very good. Now Peter's background is he was Program Director, Air Traffic Control. Whoa. And what do you call it? What's your abbreviation of it?
Oh, Eurocat.
Eurocat.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, that's the name of the air traffic control software.
Ah.
And I was responsible for the ongoing development of that for a number of years.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yes.
And also how I met Peter, he was president of Globe. And what is Globe?
Globe is the Gay and Lesbian Organisation of Business and Enterprise. It's really a business networking organisation that's been running for now over 25 years.
Mm. And how long were you president?
I was president for 10 years.
Yeah, and in the early days as
Yes.
well, wasn't it? But again, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about you as a kid. Can you remember that far back, or are you that old that you can't remember it?
Well, dementia does set in that from time to time. But
so, what were you like as a kid? Did you grow up in Melbourne?
Yes, I grew up in Alphington and North Balwyn in a sort of Christian fundamental family.
Okay.
And as a result of that, I had no gay role models, and I actually had no male role model because my father left home when I was very young. So I was brought up by my mother and her aunt and my grandparents. My grandfather was Chinese.
Ah.
So yeah, brought up in a very sort of strict Christian background for all my adult life.
So you didn't have any contact with your father once he left?
No, he it's a long story for another time, but there was, I think it was about 50 years before he made contact.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
just before he died.
Right, So how was a life as a kid growing up? Did you have fun?
Yeah, had lots of fun.
Yeah.
But really wasn't aware of my sexuality until into my 20s because in the Christian faith, there was no such thing as a gay role model.
Yep, yeah. And what was it like then, Peter, when you were that old, to then realise, we thought it was something different. We now know it's the way we are, and especially being from a fairly strict Christian family. How did you react to it?
I suppose it took a long while for me to work out exactly what my sexuality was. I knew from an early age I was different. I supposedly had girlfriends, but I really wasn't interested. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I got to university that I suppose you are exposed to a different range of people, and you see what's, I suppose, available, what sexuality is all about, that I really came to an awakening of what my sexuality was, and that really I was interested in a same-sex partner, not a sort of opposite sex. But it took a number of years for that transition to happen, and it wasn't until, I suppose, I got out into the workforce and I had my first boyfriend to speak of that, that's when I started realising what my sexuality was and went on from there.
What about telling family?
My brother knew. I never hid my partners, my friends, from taking them home to meet my mother. She never outright asked me, but I'm sure she knew.
Okay.
She did ask my brother, I'm sure.
Yeah. Do you think he told her?
Well, he said to ask me, but she never did. But all my partners were openly accepted into my family and always have been.
Oh, wonderful. So, but then again, in a way, you don't have to explain, do you?
No.
You shouldn't. No other person has to explain.
No. My brother didn't have to explain his girlfriends or his wife or anything like that.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. So, in a way, that's good. University, what did you study?
I was a bit of a bad student.
I could imagine that.
I did some interior design for a while, but
now that's very gay.
yeah, it was, and I had a falling out with the head of the department.
What, about a screen that you disagreed with the colour or something?
No, because I don't think I would comply to his advances. Yeah, it was very awkward.
Oh.
And at the end of the first year, I decided that I would move on and do something else. So I ended up studying nuclear physics.
They're very similar. Interior design, physics. I get it. I can get where you can go from one to another.
Yeah, it was. It's quite a varied path, shall we say? So,
and and then the end result was what?
Well, I ended up my professional career in computers. So,
and that would have been early days too, Peter, was it?
Yeah, my first exposure to it was at the Council of Adult Education and Apple computers with floppy disks.
Yeah.
And we were organising training courses. So I started there and progressed through various stages.
So how did you get to air traffic control?
That's
you're like
I've had about 3 or 4 significant career changes, and I suppose I think it was around in the 90s, I was looking for a role, and I was interviewed for a role with Air Services Australia, and I was successful in getting that role, even though I didn't have an aviation background.
Yep.
I had a very strong IT project management background.
Yeah. And again, you're like so specialised back
Yes.
in that era.
Yeah.
All right, and that's what you did for the rest of your working life.
Yeah, up until I finished working, probably in my early 60s, which is a number of years ago now, about a decade ago.
Yeah, no, I was going to say 20 years ago, but
no, not quite. I wish.
So how did you get involved with Globe?
I went along to Fruits in Suits, which is their monthly networking event, and it was in Greville Street, Prahran.
Yep.
And through, I suppose, connections and friends, I knew the president at the time.
Who was that?
It was Charles Otter.
Okay.
He was only president for a short time, but he persuaded me to join the committee. And so I thought, here's a way for me to, I suppose, contribute back to the gay and lesbian and transgender community because of my background. I just wanted to do something in the community, and this was my way of doing it.
So when did it change from Fruits in Suits to Globe?
No, it's always been Globe. Fruits in Suits is just one of the events that Globe had. When I was on the committee, we used to have monthly dinners, breakfast, we had speakers, we had annual Christmas parties. There were lots of functions. We had Lemons with a Twist, as it was called in those days. But Fruits and Suits was just one of the many things that Globe did.
Right, okay. And one of the main roles of Globe is to actually connect people in business.
Yes.
And that sort of networking in that sort of world.
Yeah.
And it's worked very well too, Peter, hasn't it, over the years?
Yeah, I've got a number of examples of people who came along to Globe and obtained new jobs, met business contacts, met life partners, and that's where I met my partner, Michael.
Okay.
At a Globe AGM.
Right. Now, he might be 1 or 2 years younger than you, an unbelievably handsome man. How did that all happen?
He was brought along to a Globe AGM by a friend of his, and he was standing at the bar looking a bit lost. And as one of the key Globe committee members, I went up and started chatting to him, introduced myself, and from there it just went on, and within about 4 or 5 months we were together.
How long has it been?
Over 19 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How lovely.
Yeah.
And even to the extent where you had a mock wedding through the days of
the protests.
Yes, on Joy.
That's correct.
You had a commitment ceremony on Joy on the very famous Friday Drive with David and Sue.
Yeah.
Which was
infamous, I would say.
infamous. And how lovely was that as well?
Yeah, that was fantastic.
A very, very special moment years before. Where do you see Globe going now? Because it's changed a fair bit since you were involved in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. When I sort of left, one of the things that was my personal charter for Globe was to remain a successful gay and lesbian business.
Yep.
And I left it in a sound financial position where a number of other organisations had failed over the years. And it's good to see it sort of has blossomed and really expanded on where the base we started with.
Yep. And you know, like those events, those monthly events, you know, like hundreds of people go to them, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, normally there's anything from 100 to 200 people networking monthly. So it's a very good opportunity for people to meet other like-minded people.
And it's gone a little bit beyond, Peter, as well, and it was happening while you were there, that it's more than just business, isn't it? It's more a social way of life in nowadays, because a lot of people don't like the bar scene, or they don't want to, you know, like look for a partner online. And it's another way, and it's a lovely way of doing it, isn't it? Because everyone's encouraged to chat to each other.
Yes, well, it's always had that social aspect, and it's always been a very comfortable space where it's not like going out to a bar and a club. You're in a very comfortable environment with like-minded people who are there to meet and chat with other people. So it's very free and easygoing. You can make of it what you want, whether it's your aim as business, whether it's social, or both. So it offers people that opportunity to do that.
Do you still go?
I haven't been for ages and ages. When I resigned as president, I deliberately took a step back to let the new committee sort of develop their own direction.
And good on you for doing that too, because you know, like a lot of people, you know, hang around the edges. I wouldn't have done back in the day. You wouldn't have done it like that. But that was a very smart thing of you to do that. But you travel a lot.
Well, that's, I suppose, one of my passions, travel.
And you know, like, don't you get sick of climbing on board a plane and sipping that champagne in business class?
No, what I miss is not doing that. Because with my job with Air Services, I did a lot of travel. Yeah. And it really gets in your blood. And I just love traveling. And I love going to places that are very different culturally. You know, so you can experience the food and the people. Yeah,
and you were saying before we started the interview that you were involved in a wedding in Cambodia, so you have to go to that because you've helped organise it.
Yeah. I've been to Cambodia a number of times, and it's really interesting. I have a number of gay and lesbian friends there, and it's a very accepting society.
And they can be openly...
yeah, they can be openly gay, but most of them aren't, because the Asian culture is that you have a family to support you when you get old. Yep. So the pressure is on from a family perspective, all the kids to get married and have a family. And there are some that just can't do that, and it's really challenging for them. Yep. How they will survive as they get old, because they don't have welfare over there, and it relies on your family looking after you. Yeah,
it's tough, isn't it, in that respect. Yeah. Peter, keep on being yourself and keep on travelling, and always good to you know, catch up with you on social media, because we don't see each other very much socially anymore. But it's always lovely that you're there as a friend and somebody I've known, and somebody that's done so much for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
That was Peter Stephenson, yes, the old man Peter Stephenson, and I'm David Hunt, and we'll see you real soon.